Hello and welcome to Deconstructing the Construct, episode 60. This video will essentially be part one of an expected 3 episodes. In this video, I'm hoping to give a brief recap style overview of what we've been going through lately. And in video 2, I'll go through the series of events in as much of a linear fashion as I can and how they played out here, what we observed here. And in 3, what you may have personally experienced in the form of circumstances in your own life, physical symptoms, and energetic and spiritual experiences. And I do apologise for the delay in an update, but we have been so in the thick of it lately that sometimes you need to go through it and be out the other side before you really can be clear on exactly what's just taken place. And that's kind of what happened. Hindsight 2020 and all that. Where I left you with the last update was in regards to the merge. And to understand the merge, I need to give a bigger picture and go back and talk about where we are, why we are, what's happening now. For those of you who have been around since 2016, you'll know that Lilu made contact in October of 2016, and she talked about home. And she talked about it in computer terms. And as an analogy, she said, home is currently Windows 10, but is in the process and will be upgraded to the equivalent of Windows 50. Because of what has happened, because of the virus, because of the infiltration, the invasion, all of that, that home would be upgraded to something far more superior than what it currently was. It wasn't long after that, I'm not even sure if it was the end of 2016 or early 2017, I started to see this pink bubble. It became part of my awareness that was something that was moving in. It was coming in closer and closer and closer. And it took weeks, if not a couple of months, to feel like I was finally inside this pink bubble. What I now realize is that this pink bubble represented the Windows 50 version of home. And what I was really seeing was the upgrade process. And once I got to the point where I felt like I was in it, there was then this process of feeling like I was in a white room. Went on for ages, what felt like ages. It was a white room, it was very boring. White walls, white ceiling, white floor, no windows, no pictures, no magazines to read. There was nothing. And it was just sitting in this white room by myself. And over a period of time, others started to feel that and see the visuals of themselves in this white room. And what I now know is that white room also represented quarantine. It was also around this time that an LMH member and an incredibly powerful, energetic worker also had a vision of what we called the kabooey. That one moment we would be here doing something incredibly mundane, and the next minute there would be a flash. And that we would be in these pink bubbles floating above the earth just a fraction of a second before the earth itself flashed and was gone. And that we would be travelling in these bubbles for some time, in our own personal individual bubbles. And then we would be home, but once home, in quarantine. And that while in quarantine, she discovered that there was a conspiracy of sorts to delete us, eliminate us. The argument was that they didn't want to take the risk of the virus infiltrating home. And in this vision, she, with the help of someone on the inside, managed to escape and went to what she perceived at the time as like the town mayor or somebody in charge, and told them the story. And they, in turn, told what we knew of as the all, what was happening, and then confronted quarantine, apprehended the people involved, and we were eventually cleaned up and released into home. So in my experience, what I've come to understand is that first, things are seen through dreams, visions, downloads, in meditation, and then they are experienced in the energetic. And that can mean going into some of the darkest of places energetically and cleaning it up, releasing souls, beings who have been harvested, captured. It can mean all kinds of things. Confronting certain beings, getting rid of tech that shouldn't be there. And then it is somewhat experienced, or at least observed, to play out in the physical. So bearing these two things in mind, the Windows 50 upgrade, the White Room quarantine, the knowledge that while in quarantine there was some fuckery afoot, I'm going to move into what's just played out now. There has been some contact with home over March and April, and one was a message that had the distinct feeling of a drop and run that was snuck in. And it was a very simple message that love is all that matters. And it felt like a warning, a heads up as to what was about to play out, and a reminder to stay in our hearts. And what followed was a series of events that, for me, is evidence that there was, in fact, an attempt at a reset. And I'll get into the details of that later, but I think the best way for me to explain this is to show you graphically what I believe this reality currently looks like and what's happening to it. We currently have 5 realms. Realm 1 is Source itself. Realm 2 is home, and what is now currently the upgraded Windows 50 version of home. Realm 3 is a layer of a space underneath home. Realm 4 is what we call the astral, and Realm 5 is where we are right now. It was explained recently in a conversation with home that the astral, Realm 4, used to be referred to as the fun place. It is our first stop once we leave this realm, and many souls choose to stay there in order to be close to their loved ones until their loved ones pass through, and then together they move on. However, since the invasion, the virus, many traps have been laid in the astral, and it is where people were introduced to the white light for reincarnation. In realms 3, 4, and 5, it is possible to create pocket realms. You could think of it as creating a partition on a hard drive, or in quantum computing, I guess, computers within computers. Realms 3, 4, and 5 allow for that. Many were created in Realm 4, and what we now understand is that a pocket realm was being created or had been created in realm 5, where we are. And that what we've been experiencing really since probably May, June, July of last year, but in earnest since March and over the Easter period in particular, was an attempt to interfere with our merging process with home and to in fact pull us into this newly created pocket realm within realm 5. That pocket realm has now been deleted. Those responsible have experienced the memory wipe and are being held accountable. The other thing to understand about realm 5, where we are, with the ability to create pocket realms or petitions, is everything that we perceive of as dimensions are all located within realm 5. All the different ET races, and of course the ascension to 5D, all traps within realm 5. And much of that over the last several years has been cleaned up and cleaned out. That's what the waves were about. That's what the Mandela effects have been about, is the cleaning up of all this extraneous stuff within realm 5. Back at around Christmas time, Lulu mentioned that she was creating a realm for those who need more time. Has been created in realm 3, that layer, space beneath home. And that we are currently in the process of merging with the greater part of ourselves, who is either at home, new Windows 50 version, or is in Lulu's new realm 3. And up until very recently, as I said, that process was being disturbed and interrupted with an attempt to pull us into this pocket. And that has been experienced here physically in a number of ways, which I'll get to symptoms and things later. But what's about to happen, everyone should be feeling just a little bit better over the last week. A little bit clearer, a little bit more settled, hopefully, as that interference is now gone. And what's about to happen next is realm 4, the astral, will close. And everybody there will move on to either home or realm 3 or back to source for a rest. That is where we can go to rest our souls. In 2018, we became aware that this was so much bigger than just us. Just bigger than little old Earth and humans ascending to 5D. It was nothing of the sort. That all of creation was being rearranged. Something brand new was being created. So much had been learnt from this complete fuck up that, and also to ensure that it never happened again, everything from the ground up was being rearranged. And when this is all over, when the transition is complete, the only thing that will remain is Source, upgraded Windows 50 Home, and Lilu's newly created Realm 3 for those who need more time. What's been made very clear, not only by Home, but also some of the more recent experiences, dreams and visions, is that where we go after this is entirely up to us. It is our choice and our choice alone. No one can decide that for us or make us go anywhere. The time of this free will bullshit over others is done. We get to make a choice, a freedom choice. as to our next experience. Unless, of course, you are one of those who are so infected as to be part of the problem, irredeemable. Those will be returned to source to have their soul memories wiped and cleaned up. So once again, this is my understanding, my perspective, my narrative, and the language that I have to express that in. If it doesn't work for you, then fine. Move along, find something that does. But please respect those for whom it does. That's all I ask, here on YouTube especially. And I will be back with part 2, which is some of the events that we've seen play out in the world, and what I believe is the best we've got for evidence to back up what I've just outlaid here in terms of this pocket realm. So see you then. Bye for now.